So, hallo Keks. Freut mich, dass es heute funktioniert. Dass Twitch sich mal dazu herablässt, meinem Stream einige Einstellungsmöglichkeiten zu bieten. Ich hoffe, du hattest heute wieder einen angenehmen Tag. Und danke für die Cheers. Voll gut. Was hast du Schönes gemacht? Langweilig, nichts Besonderes zu tun, ja. Du hattest jetzt die Woche Urlaub, ne? Da konntest du ja vermutlich nicht so viel machen damit. Wir haben hier noch ein paar Gespräche, die wir führen wollen. Von gestern. Noch ein paar Leute gefunden. So we are going to finish our conversation with Octavia over here. Yeah. What kind of relationship do you have with Rigonga? Octavia shrugs awkwardly. We are together, she answers simply. The way you said we are together sounded unconvincing. Is something wrong? You've noticed? Well, I didn't mean that. Now I have to explain. Octavia shakes her head. I'm not sure I know how to put it correctly. You see, Rex seems to treat me like his property. He's always kind to me and it feels good when we travel together or when we share a blanket at the campsite. But he always calls me my Octavia. I've told him over and over that I don't belong to anyone, that I'm my own, that I stay with him by my own free will. He only grins when I say that. I bet he likes to think that I'm his. So eine Art von Kerl. Okay, ich glaube, ich will ihn nicht mehr in meiner Party haben. Ich meine, ich hatte schon vorher meine Befürchtung, wenn ich sein Alignment angeschaut habe und er chaotisch böse war. Aber ja, mir geht es soweit ganz gut, ganz okay, Kicks. Ich kann mich eigentlich nicht beklagen, wie das so ist im Leben. Ne? Eigentlich kann man sich nicht beklagen. Aber so richtig freuen kann man sich irgendwie auch nicht. Ist immer irgendwas. Scheiße Depression. He's always kind to me and feels good when we travel together. Or when we that I'm his. Yeah. Never mind though. I'll sort it out somehow. Octavia shakes her head, making the troubling thoughts go away. Ja, stimmt, ne? Scheiße. When did you meet Rex? Years ago, when I was studying magic at Maestro Janusz's Rek. Janusz, Rek was his student too, though you couldn't actually say he was really studying anything. Rek had his own ways to cast spells. He never needed the Maestro's instructions. You see, unlike wizards, Rek draws power directly from his innate bloodline abilities. Und ich muss noch mein Handy muten. Janusz didn't realize the nature of Rek's power when he took the young boy as his new student. And when he finally understood them, he just taught the negligent half-orc to control his power, to avoid harming himself or the others. Rek and I have been together ever since. We could both use magic, but more importantly, we both craved freedom. We used to vow to each other that someday we'd break free from the unbearable captivity, or die trying, together. Octavia gives you a warm smile. I guess it's good that we fulfilled only the first part of that vow. You owe him much? Octavia winces. I don't like this "owe" word. I don't owe anything to anybody. Everything I do of my free will. But to answer your question, yes, Rek has done a lot for me. I can count how many times he was whipped by masters because of me, how many times he took the blame for my doings. He never complained when they dragged him, beaten and covered in blood, to the slave barracks. He just groaned and clenched his fist while I bandaged his wounds with the scraps of my filthy clothing. We always been together, my whole life, as slaves and as free people. I wouldn't be me if not for him. The fact that Rek is so impulsive doesn't bother you? Ah, that That is a very delicate matter. Octavia winces, looking away. Reg means a lot to me, and he endured a lot for me, but some parts of him just scare me. He becomes extremely bloodthirsty when it comes to slavers. Don't get me wrong, I hate slavers with all my heart. I'll do a lot to cleanse the world of their filth, but Reg, he'd do anything, understand? Absolutely anything. I'm afraid that anger might kill everything good in him. I've attempted to talk to him about it many times, but he just won't listen. He becomes even angrier after our conversations. Octavia sighs sadly. Let's change the subject. Oh, wir flirten mal ein bisschen, Cakes. Bist du bereit? I just have to ask, how do you manage to look so gorgeous, even when you're out in the middle of nowhere? Oh, so you've noticed, Octavia smiles slyly. My appearance is the result of daily effort, and it's not easy. Do you know how much time it takes to create good makeup or to mend a dress, even with the help of magic? So, if someday you wake up early, an hour before dawn or so, you can actually check on me. You'll see how I prepare myself for a new day. Wollen wir so richtig cheesy sein? Das erste nehmen? Oh, Octavia, the flower of the stolen lands. You are as beautiful as you are dangerous. You strike down monsters with your spells as you strike down people with your beauty. You are a real sweet talker. I feel all flushed. Octavia fans herself with her hand. Well, now I'll have to pay even more attention to my looks. For now, I know for sure that there's someone who appreciates my efforts. You worship Callistria, right? Yes, many slaves survived only thanks to their faith. Some lived hoping for a day when a good deity would deliver them. Some even offered deals to the evil gods. But me and Reg, Callistria has taught us the most important things. Expect no gifts from above. Rely only on ourselves. Never forgive those who wronged us, but at the same time, savor every droplet of pleasure we could squeeze from our bleak days. Dann, Keks, kannst du das jetzt hier perfekt verbessern. Ich bin nebenher auch immer am Googlen, wenn ich irgendein Wort nicht kenne. It's amazing how, after all your hardships, you still remain so cheerful and optimistic. Octavia's smile fades a little. I try not to view my life as a never-ending course of suffering. Yes, I've had my share of hard times, but do I need to recall them? After all, along with the bad things, I had some good things as well. I had a dream, and I followed it, and even eventually it came true. Following that path, I met Reg and you. Now I'm free and surrounded by friends. Why do you need to find the Technic League agents? I broke free from slavery. Thanks to you, I've obtained everything I dreamed of. My freedom and the opportunity to control my own life. I want to use this opportunity to fight the Technic League, at least the part of it that operates here in the Stolen Lands. I wish to free all the slaves from their Technic League masters. Schokomehl? Was ist das? Schokomehl? Octavia gives you a warm smile and gently touches your hand. I do believe that while we are together, we can achieve a lot. Even this. I don't need you any longer. No, das ist okay. Okay. Dann sind wir hier mit ihr auch nochmal fertig mit dem Gespräch. Gut. Hat denn Lindsay irgendwas Neues zu sagen oder so? Nee, hä? Just don't leave without me. Of course. Ja, das ist ihr übliche Endnatter.
In due time.
Okay, Tristan. Der ist auch neu. Die weltbesteste Schokomilch der Welt. Okay. Schokomilch. Kann man die, also ist die direkt so zu kaufen im Tetrapack als Schokomilch oder ist das was, was man sich selber anrührt? Reden wir mal mit Tristian. Tristian smiles as you approach. Greetings. How may this humble chosen of the great Sarenrae help you? Tell me about yourself. About myself? I wouldn't know where to begin. Tristian pauses for a moment in thought. You know my name, my faith. I follow Sarenrae, and I have traveled from the Padishah Empire of Kalesh to here. What else do you want to know? Forgive me, but from your manner and appearance, you don't strike me as a Kaleshite. Tristian smiles softly. You have nothing to apologize for. Truly, I have received my name and appearance from my parents, who had come to Telesh from afar. I never knew them, for the fate had separated us when I was young. So I grew up in Kalesh, raised by the followers of Sarenrae. Im Tetrapack. Hast trotzdem noch ein bisschen puffern, Mensch, Keks. Was ist denn bei euch da wieder los da auf dem Land? My home is where my heart is, within the temples of the great goddess, among the wise and generous men that took upon themselves the care of a child that was so unlike them. I learned mercy and patience at an early age, and it is these virtues that have made me the man I am today. Do you enjoy traveling? Tristian nods, his eyes light up. Oh yes, no library and no archive, however large, would have ever allowed me to learn as much of the world as I have in my journeys. It was only outside the temple walls I would realize every living being is a world unto themselves. A world where many contradictions and passions coexist. Internet halt, kennt man ja. Ja, in Deutschland. Neuland. Each realm leaves its mark on the lives that live there. Only by visiting it, by breathing the same air, walking on the same soil, can you understand its people, what drives them, what frightens them, their dreams, and how they honor their gods. Doesn't being outside the temple make you uncomfortable? Tristian shakes his head. There are many ways to honor one's god, Mara. Gods. It is true shrines play a role in the lives of many of the faithful, but even more find other ways to serve Sarenrae. The healing light values good deeds above all else. I cannot stand by and watch evil claim others. Tristian thinks for a moment and raises an eyebrow. Perhaps that is another reason why I chose to go on my pilgrimage, leaving behind the temples of Kalesh. Tristian touches his chest. My faith is in my heart and in my hands. Millions honor Sarenrae in her temples, and my soul is filled with joy when I think of their devotion to the goddess. Nevertheless, my path is a different one. Do you know where you're going next? No, my thoughts were far from it, for my mission here is not yet done. Tristian stares at you in surprise. Why do you ask? Do you wish me to leave your lands? I didn't mean to alarm you, that was not my intent. Tristian shakes his head reproachfully but with a smile. You enjoy watching others' reactions, don't you? In this regard, we are alike, although I do not choose such sly ways to achieve this. Let's discuss something else. Tristian lowers his head. Forgive me if my stories have bored you. I'm not accustomed to speaking about myself and, in truth, take little enjoyment in it. What can you tell me of Sarenrae? Sarenrae is the goddess of temperance and patience. Solar Flame goddess teaches us compassion for the weary and mercy for those who go astray. What would you like to know of her? I'd like to hear about the history of your faith. There's much to tell, but I'm afraid I would miss the mark and I fear I would bore you. Is there something specific you wish to know? How did Sarenrae come to be? Sarenrae is one of Golarian's eldest deities. Once she was an angel that had gathered the armies of her celestial allies behind her. The battle in which she showed her valor decided the fate of a whole world, and in her victory she was rewarded with divinity. In the sacred texts, Sarenrae is shown as a beautiful bronze-skinned maiden, her hair dancing flame. Christian smiles slightly. But her appearance is not what matters. It is the grace she brings with her touch, healing and salvation. Tell me about this battle you mentioned. What was the act of valor of Sarenrae? Her greatest moment of glory is her battle against the monstrous Ruvaguk, who threatened to destroy Golarion. Sarenrae delivered the strike that staggered the horrendous creature and allowed her allies to shackle it. Once the rough beast was captured, the goddess split the earth, and the gods threw the behemoth into the depths. Once it was done, the goddess sealed the pit and commanded her faithful to stay away from the scar that was left in the land. Christian falls silent for a few moments. Alas, mortal beings are imperfect. Not even the most faithful among us can always follow their deity's commandments, even when such commandments are meant to save the world and their followers. I, for one, pray the goddess is never again as furious as she was with Gormus. Was ist jetzt Gormus? Misinterpreting their goddess' warnings to avoid its location, instead believing Gormus to be a holy city of Sarenrae, people from all over Casmeron flocked there for millennia, but were slowly corrupted by the imprisoned god Rovagug's dream. Sarenrae continued sending portents and visions to her faithful in Gormus during this period, but they were ignored or misinterpreted. She finally sent her herald Kohal to the people of Gormus in -3923 AR, but they had been so corrupted that they destroyed him instead. In an act of great wrath, Sarenrae smote Gormus with her scimitar, destroying it completely and creating an enormous rent in the earth that eventually became known as the Pit of Gormus. From this great chasm have emerged some of the most powerful and destructive creatures in the world's history, known collectively as the spawn of Rovagug. Oha. You've mentioned Gormus. What happened to it? Christian sighs, an arrow of faith, perhaps a lesson, but it speaks of danger when one listens to mortal words and one stops listening to their faith. Sarenrae forbade her followers from coming near the place of Rovagug's imprisonment, but some of her priesthood misread her will and began to preach of a sacred place where the mightiest of temples dedicated to the goddess were to be constructed. The people listened to these sermons and went forth to the lands touched by Sarenrae's scimitar. On the scar that sealed the well, they founded Gormus, a holy city that was to become the greatest monument to Sarenrae. Unsurprisingly, after the city was built, faithful from all Golarion traveled there to worship. Sarenrae sent omens and visions, urging her followers to leave this dangerous place, filled with the dark will of the shackled Rovagug. But in their pride, the people misinterpreted or ignored her signs altogether, for they had already come under Rovagug's influence. What a terrible name! Rovagug, what the fuck? Finally, the goddess sent her herald to the city, but the fanatics killed him. Realizing the people had turned from her, the enraged goddess smote Gormus, razing it from the face of Golarion with a single strike of her scimitar. Christian shakes his head. Today it is called the Pit of Gormus, a well of pain and suffering. Tell me about the Pit of Gormus. Christian shakes his head. It's a great crevice in eastern Casmeron. The lands surrounding it are dead, soaked in poison. The Pit of Gormus seems bottomless, until someone dares to gaze into its depths. All who have dared tell of a strange, distant glow, a glow that followed them in their dreams ever since. Throughout all of history, the Pit of Gormus has spawned creatures, hideous beasts of overwhelming power and driven by only a single desire: to destroy everything they see. Some were defeated, such as the nightmarish Ulunat, whose carapace to this day towers above the capital of Assyrian. Others proved too strong to be defeated by mortal hands. Christian frowns. The most terrible of them all was the Tarask, the Armageddon engine, who to this day lies dormant deep beneath Avestan. Carapace ist, glaube ich, eine Trophäe. Mein Versprecher klippen. Haha, tja, Keks. Da hat dir wohl Twitch einen Strich durch die Rechnung. Komm, gucken wir nochmal nach, was eben Carapace heißt. Schale, Kruste, Panzer. Panzer. Ah, okay. Das war's. Der Panzerkeks. Dieses Twitch. Übersteht den nächsten Winter nicht. Aber ich wollte heute auch schon klippen und es ging nicht. Ich glaube, Twitch ist wohl wirklich bald Geschichte. Okay. Have wars ever been waged in Sarenrae's name? Christian sighs. Alas, yes. Terrible battles were once fought between the followers of Nethys, Norgobber, and Sarenrae in the lands now known as Rahodum. To my shame, I must admit that this conflict was started by my brothers and sisters. They came to foreign land to make way for the goddess light with sword and fire. Wer war denn jetzt Nethys? Nethys, also known as the All-Seeing Eye, is a Garundi god who holds knowledge and magic above all things. He gained enough power to witness all things, and this both fueled his divinity and shattered his mind. He is a god of magic, torn between destroying the world with one hand and saving it with the other. Das ist nicht... Warte mal, das ist doch in Anlehnung an eine indische Gottheit, oder? Nicht Twitch, Internet. Achso, wegen dem Internet allgemein. Aber wie gesagt, ich wollte heute auch schon klippen und Twitch selber hat einfach gesagt, nö, ups, geht nicht, Fehler, Fehler, Fehler. That calamity became known as the Oath Wars, a catastrophe that led the inheritors of Rahodum to deny all gods, banning all faiths from their lands. Alas, the mortal vessel is imperfect, and even a pure faith may be distorted by blind ambition. Christian goes silent for a moment. And great suffering may occur in its name. Das waren jetzt Rahodum. The nation of Rahodum in northwestern Garund is unusual in that it is the only nation known to have forbidden the practice of any and all religions in the wake of the Oath Wars, which raged centuries ago between the faiths of Nethys, Norgobber, and Sarenrae. Talk about something else. What are the teachings of Sarenrae? Solar flame goddess is the light of salvation, even to those who have been forsaken by the other gods. She teaches us mercy and forgiveness, for as long as they may be useful to a soul's salvation. You make it sound like the followers of Sarenrae will try to find good even in a bandit with a knife to their throat. Do not mistake compassion for weakness, Mara. One hand of Sarenrae is shrouded in healing light, the other holds a scimitar. Following their goddess, the priests learn to wield this weapon starting in childhood, and they do not hesitate to use it if a dispute cannot be settled peacefully. Also, die Anhänger der Sarenrae, quasi Jedi in dieser Welt. Hol mal dein Schokomehl. Sarenrae preaches mercy, yet her compassion is not infinite. We give a second chance to all who ask, but if they reject it, if they persist in their sins, they will face the goddess' retribution. Are there any undeserving of mercy? Christian blindly gazes past you in the distance for several moments. When he speaks again, his voice is quiet, reflective, as if echoing his thoughts. Undeserving of mercy. Would even Sarenrae herself find the compassion to... Christian shudders, as if awakening from a trance. Forgive me, your words, they are not easy ones to reconcile, and even priests such as I, we debate them to this day. What is the point at which a soul is irredeemable, or is it a failing of the priests themselves? These are difficult questions, you ask, Mara. Questions wise men have debated for centuries. Does a being that has been tainted by evil to its very roots, that rejects its own salvation, still deserve compassion? Can those compelled to do evil by others still seek forgiveness? There is no easy answers on these issues among Sarenrae's followers. As for me, I believe that every soul carries the potential for goodness within. No matter the crime, the guilty may find forgiveness if they repent and cast off the evil that led to the deed. I believe this with all my heart, Mara. I like this idea, even though following through with it demands a lot of spiritual strength. It does, yet I think you are equal to the task, Mara. No, I'm certain of it. And one needn't worship Sarenrae to practice mercy. All are capable of it. What are your duties as a follower of Sarenrae? My goddess strives to see the best even in the dark gods. She never abandons the hope of their redemption. The priests of Sarenrae follow her teachings, akin to the healing light herself, who emanates warmth and heeds the call of those in need, creates the suffering in body and spirit throughout Golarion. The priests of Sarenrae are willing to help anyone, no matter the faith of the one in need. Each plea must be heard. Every misfortune deserves compassion, be it a peasant seeking a blessing for the harvest or a murderer seeking repentance the night before their execution. Sometimes the mercy of Solar Flame Goddess is the last thing that can save one's soul from ruin. We have no right to withhold it from the truly repentant. Ask something else? How is Sarenrae worshipped? Many worship Solar Flame Goddess in her temples. Some make the pilgrimage to the Everlight Oasis. But even those who do not serve the goddess directly rarely shun the festivities dedicated to her. The sun-brought festival for one. Everlight Oasis. A holy site for followers of Sarenrae. It is situated in Sel Shabar, a satrapy of the Empire of Kalash in Kasmaron. Satrapy war so eine Art Provinz. The oasis is said to have healing and rejuvenating qualities, and followers of the sun goddess come from far and wide to bathe in the water and to commune with fellow members of the faith from other lands. Unfortunately, with the pilgrims come those who wish to prey upon them, and some of them end up robbed or beaten, or worse. What are the temples of Sarenrae like? Sarenrae's shrines are often open to the sky and to the goddess' life-bringing sunlight. Her light fills the temple, enshrouds the parish in warmth, and grants its blessing to all in need. In Kalash, crowds gather during the services to all may feel the blessing of the goddess. The parish? The parish? 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 Gemeinde. Parish is Gemeinde. The most ingenious devices are constructed by some of the faithful to please the goddess. I have seen a temple of Sarenrae which housed a complicated array of mirrors, all to direct the light of the sun to the altar. Ebekix. Tell me of the Everlight Oasis. I have never been there, but the stories say it is a wondrous place, sacred to Sarenrae's faithful. The oasis is located in Zel Shabar, which lies in Kasmaron. Pilgrims from throughout Golarion travel there, seeking the goddess' blessing. Belshazzar. Belshazzar is a satrapy, province of the Empire of Kalash, situated on the edge of the Empire's imperial lands. Its claim to fame is that it is the location of the Everlight Oasis, a site of pilgrimage for followers of Serenade. Okay, so nothing else special about it. Casmaron. Casmaron is the large continent to the east of both Avestan and Garund. It is dominated politically by the Empire of Kalash, a vast realm that expands even into Avestan. Kadira is its westernmost satrapy. According to legend, the waters of the Everlight Oasis are imbued with healing properties, and anyone who bathes in them shall be cured of any ailment. Christian smiled and thought, just imagine, a place where people from all around the world come together to worship. What stories they must share. What is the Sun-Wrought Festival? The Sun-Wrought Festival takes place on the day of the summer solstice? When the prayers of her flock can reach Sarenrae the easiest. On this day, Kalash blooms with color. In each corner of the Padishah Empire, the people praise their goddess by dancing and singing, setting off fireworks and flying kites. I hope this beautiful custom shall one day reach your lands as well. Ja, das Summer Solstice, das ist doch dann Sommersonnenwende, oder? Sonnenwende. Ja. Die Solstice ist eine Sonnenwende. Solstice. That is all I wanted to know about this. Okay, I heard enough of Sarenrae. What brought you to these lands? I've heard rumors. They say these lands are cursed, and the curses are growing stronger, as if something is granting them power. I could not ignore such rumors. What curses are you talking about? Christian cocks his head to the side and wonder. Do you not see? Every word uttered in the heat of an argument turns into a prophecy here, just waiting to fulfill itself. And if it were only for the people, the land itself is thieving with curses so ancient their origins are impossible to trace. Take the abandoned temple of Aristil where we met. What happened to it? What force compelled the priests to leave such a magnificent temple behind to the whims of nature? Will we ever know? I myself was nearly slain by beasts. Fortunately, you came along, following Jod, and saved me. I owe you a great debt. You have come a great distance indeed. Christian laughs heartily. When you look at it that way, then yes. But please, do not think that I came all the way from Kalash because of mere curiosity. I was wondering long before that. It is a custom of our faith. The farther our paths take us, the more people we may help. Unmotiviert irgendwas zu tun. Du weißt nicht, was du machen sollst. Ja, das kenne ich auch. Ich meine, es gibt solche Tage. In den meisten Fällen läuft es darauf, dass ich masturbiere und mir YouTube-Videos anschaue. Ich weiß nicht, ob... Du schaust mir schon zu. Ich weiß nicht, ob das andere noch eine Wahl ist. Ansonsten... Hast du nicht noch was zum Häkeln oder so? Why did Jod see you in this premonition? Sarenrae sees all the good gods and goddesses as her allies. Many have fought alongside the goddess against the menace of Rovaguk, Aristil among them. By offering my prayer to Sarenrae, I let her know of my misfortune in the Temple of the Elk. The merciful goddess did not ignore my plea. But whom could have she asked for aid than Aristil, whose faith is strong in these lands? Aristil had sent Jod a sign, and you came just in time to rescue me. Christian sighs. To tell the truth, I was certain my journey was at an end, and those creatures were to be the death of me. You have spent much time here. What do you think the future holds for these lands? These are cruel lands. As I came here, I bore witness to much pain and suffering. But I have seen equal kindness among those seeking to protect themselves and their loved ones. The people of the stolen lands are resolute and true to themselves. I admire their strength. Häkeln hast du ewig nicht mehr. Jetzt mal wieder Zeit, Keks. Let's go. Alas, I do not know yet what powers the curses that flourish in this land. But I swear I will not leave until we have the answer and the means to cleanse them. You must forgive me for not swearing on Sarenrae's name, but as of late I have troubled the goddess too much as it is, and it would better serve her through action, not prayer. Let's change the subject. You called yourself the Chosen of Sarenrae. What did you mean by that? Sorry, that was a mere jest. Other acolytes at my temple used to tease me with that title. This should tell you how pious and devoted I was compared to them. And yet my faith is strong. Sarenrae knows this and protects me in times of great peril. If something ever threatens my life, by her divine powers I am transported to safe location. Nach dem Urlaub eh keine Zeit. Ja. Es nimmt dich ja schon zeitlich sehr ein, ne? Die Arbeit. Er hat sich jetzt auch nichts zeitlich geändert, oder? Das bist du eigentlich immer noch Vollzeit, so ziemlich. I should go. Christian bows his head. A pleasure. Okay,